My girlfriend told me you are not ambitious enough to keep me. I replied, understood. Then paid the dinner bill, folded my napkin, and told her to go find someone who was. Months later, her boyfriend's face was all over the news and she finally emailed me. Look, I am still processing this whole thing, so bear with me. My name is Kevin. I am 34, and I work as a senior product manager at a cybersecurity firm in San Francisco. I am not trying to paint myself as some perfect guy here, but I thought I was doing okay. Decent job, own my apartment, close with my family back in Ohio. I am the type who plans weekend trips to Napa, not spontaneous flights to Paris, but I always figured that was just being responsible, you know. Vanessa and I were together for 4 years. She is 31, works in marketing, and honestly, when we first started dating, I thought I would hit the lottery. She is one of those women who just lights up a room. Elegant, articulate, always knew exactly what to say at dinner parties. I used to love watching her work a crowd at company events. She had this way of making everyone feel like the most interesting person in the world. But something started shifting about a year ago. It was subtle at first. She would mention her ex Ryan in these offhand comments that didn't seem like much individually but started adding up. Ryan's company just raised another $50 million. He always said the real money was in taking risks, not playing it safe. You know, Ryan used to surprise me with these incredible adventures. I tried to step up. I really did. Started looking into higher risk investment opportunities, planned more elaborate date nights, even bought tickets to that overpriced wine tasting in Sonoma she kept mentioning, but nothing seemed to register. She would smile and say thank you, then spend dinner scrolling through LinkedIn, sighing at posts about startup acquisitions and venture capital success stories. The worst part was feeling invisible in my own relationship. We would be having what I thought was a nice evening, maybe cooking dinner together, and she'd just drift off into her phone. I would catch her looking at Ryan's Instagram sometimes. This wistful expression on her face like she was watching a movie about someone else's better life. Work has been the one bright spot lately. My manager Caroline mentioned there might be an opportunity to lead the Midwest expansion if we land this big Chicago client. It would mean relocating, but honestly, with everything that has been happening with Vanessa, I am not sure staying in San Francisco is what I want anyway. 3 weeks ago was our 4-year anniversary. I had made reservations at this place downtown, the kind of restaurant where you need to book 2 months ahead. I was actually excited about it. We hadn't had a real conversation in weeks, and I thought maybe a nice dinner would help us reconnect. We are halfway through the appetizer when she sets down her fork and looks at me with this expression I cannot quite read. Then she says, Ryan just posted photos from Greece. He took his fiancée to Santorini for a week. You know, we have been talking about traveling more for months, and we are still debating whether we can afford Napa. I just sat there for a minute, watching her push food around her plate. This wasn't even about the trip. I realized this was about her looking at my life, our life, and finding it lacking in some fundamental way that I couldn't fix by working harder or planning better dates. I folded my napkin very carefully, set it next to my plate and said as calmly as I could, then maybe you should go back to him. The silence stretched for what felt like an hour. Her face went through about 5 different expressions before settling on this shocked, hurt look. Kevin, I didn't mean yes. You did. I caught the waiter's attention and handed him my credit card. You have been meaning it for months, and that is okay. But I am done pretending this is about me not being ambitious enough when what you really want is a different life with different priorities. I paid the bill, walked out, and drove home. That night, I blocked her number and spent about 3 hours deleting 4 years' worth of photos from my phone. She texted from her work phone the next day, but I had already made up my mind. Here is the thing that has been eating at me though. 2 weeks after she moved out, I found out through a mutual friend that she had been in contact with Ryan for months. They had been having actual conversations about getting back together, while she was telling me I needed to be more like him. She was apparently already planning her exit strategy. 3 months later, her engagement announcement showed up in my LinkedIn feed. The comments were all congratulations and heart emojis, but I couldn't help noticing how many of our mutual friends seemed genuinely surprised by the timing. I wasn't surprised. I was relieved. I know how this sounds. It sounds like I should be devastated or angry or plotting some elaborate revenge, but honestly, I just feel lighter. Like I have been holding my breath for a year and finally remembered how to exhale. I started therapy, picked up my guitar again, Signed up for a marathon training program. Small stuff, but it feels like my life is mine again. So Reddit, am I crazy for thinking I dodged a bullet? Or should I be more upset about getting played for months while she figured out her next move? Update 1. Well, this is awkward. Remember how I said I thought I dodged a bullet? Turns out it was more like dodging a nuclear missile. First off, thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. Reading your responses helped me realize I wasn't losing my mind. A lot of you saw exactly what I was too close to see at the time. She wasn't just comparing me to her ex. She was using me as a placeholder while she figured out how to get back to what she really wanted. So here is what happened. About 2 weeks ago, I got a message from Emily, Vanessa's younger sister. We had always gotten along well when Vanessa and I were together. Emily's the opposite of her sister in a lot of ways. Down to earth, works as a nurse. Doesn't really care about social media or keeping up appearances. The message was short. I thought you should know what actually happened. Can we talk? I almost didn't respond. I mean, what was the point, right? But something about the way she worded it made me curious, so I agreed to meet for coffee. Emily looked uncomfortable the whole time, like she was wrestling with whether to tell me something. Finally, she just came out with it. Kevin, I need you to know that Vanessa was talking to Ryan the entire last year you were together. Not just casual stuff. They were planning this. Apparently, Ryan had reached out to Vanessa about 18 months ago, right around the time I started noticing her behavior change. His previous relationship had ended, and he was looking to reconnect with someone who understood his world. Emily said Vanessa was obsessed with the idea of getting back together with him, but Ryan was taking his time, evaluating whether she had grown into the kind of partner he needed. The part that really got me was learning that all those comments about my lack of ambition weren't just general dissatisfaction. They were specifically designed to push me away. Ryan had apparently told her that he needed to see she was committed to leaving her comfortable situation before he would take her seriously. I felt sick hearing this. Not because I missed her, but because of how calculated it all was. This woman I had shared 4 years with, who I had supported through job changes and family drama, had spent our entire last year together treating our relationship like an audition for someone else. But here is where it gets interesting. Emily also told me why she was reaching out now. Vanessa's fairy tale reunion with Ryan isn't exactly going according to plan. 3 weeks after their engagement announcement, a gossip blog somehow got hold of the prenuptial agreement Ryan made her sign. I don't usually follow that kind of thing, but Emily forwarded me the link, and honestly, I couldn't look away. It is brutal. She gets nothing if they divorce. No property rights, no spousal support, no shared assets. But it goes further than that. There are clauses about her social media presence, her spending allowances, even requirements about maintaining her appearance and fitness level. Emily explained that Vanessa had also signed an exclusive management agreement with Ryan's media team as part of their brand building plan. Essentially, Ryan's company took control of all her social media accounts and content creation. She thought it was romantic that he wanted to elevate her brand, but it meant she couldn't post anything without approval from his marketing team. The comments on that prenup article were ruthless. She traded a good man for a contract. This is what happens when you chase money instead of love. Poor Kevin probably dodged a bullet. That last one made me laugh because, yeah, that is exactly what happened. Emily said Vanessa called her crying after the prenup story broke. Apparently, she kept saying Kevin would never have treated me like this. Kevin actually loved me. But here is the thing that really struck me. According to Emily, Vanessa still doesn't understand that love isn't something you trade up from. It is something you choose to build with someone who chooses to build it back. I haven't reached out to Vanessa, and I am not planning to, but I did send Emily a thank you text for telling me the truth. It is weird how much better it feels to know that my instincts were right. I wasn't being paranoid or insecure. I was just watching someone I cared about choose a different life and having the sense to let her go. That promotion opportunity I mentioned came through. By the way, they are moving me to Chicago to head up the Midwest Division. New city, new challenges, and honestly, I am excited about it. Turns out, when you stop trying to prove yourself to someone who is already checked out, you have a lot more energy to focus on actually building something meaningful. Update 2. Okay, so this is probably going to sound like fiction, but I swear on my mother's lasagna recipe that every word of this actually happened. I have been in Chicago for about 4 months now, and the job has been incredible, leading a team, building new client relationships, finally feeling like I am hitting my stride professionally. The city suits me too. There is something about the energy here that feels more authentic than San Francisco. Maybe it is just that I am in a better headspace, but I actually look forward to Monday mornings now. 2 weeks ago, my company hosted this big industry gala downtown. Think fancy hotel ballroom, networking with potential clients, the whole corporate dog and pony show. I was actually enjoying myself, talking to some interesting people about cybersecurity trends, when I spotted her across the room. Vanessa looked different, thinner, which sounds like it might be a good thing, but not in a healthy way. More like stress thin. She still had that polished look, the perfect dress and jewelry, but something was missing from her smile. You know how some people just seem to have this light behind their eyes? Hers was dimmed. I thought about just avoiding her for the rest of the evening, but Chicago's business community is smaller than you would think, and she would clearly already seen me. So when she approached my table during the cocktail hour, I decided to just be civil and get it over with. Kevin. She said my name, like she was testing how it sounded. I heard you were in town. Congratulations on the promotion. Thank you. How are you doing, Vanessa? She laughed, but it came out hollow. Well, that is a loaded question. She glanced around the room like she was checking who might be listening. I left Ryan 3 months ago. I waited for her to continue because what exactly do you say to that? Congratulations. I am sorry, I told you so. He wasn't who I thought he was, she said, which struck me as ironic since she had known him for years before we ever met. The prenup wasn't even the worst part. He monitored everything. My spending, my social media posts, who I talked to, where I went. His team had complete control over my accounts, and I couldn't even post a coffee photo without their approval. I felt like I was being managed instead of loved. So now you are free, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Free and essentially broke. She sat down without being invited. He made sure I couldn't take anything from the relationship. My influencer career is basically dead because his team controlled all my content for 8 months. My followers think I am fake now, and the worst part is, everyone in our social circle still sides with him because he is the one with the money and connections. I looked at her for a long moment. This woman who had once made me feel like I wasn't enough, now sitting across from me looking lost and small. And you know what? I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not pity, not even residual anger, just nothing. Vanessa, I said quietly, you once told me I wasn't a risk taker, that I played things too safe, but leaving you was the biggest risk I ever took, and it paid off completely. I bet on myself instead of trying to become someone else's version of successful. She stared at me like I had said something in a foreign language. I never meant to make you feel that way. Yes, you did. You meant exactly that, and it is okay. You wanted something different, and you went after it. It didn't work out the way you planned, but at least you found out what that life actually costs. The conversation ended pretty awkwardly after that. She mumbled something about being happy I was doing well, and I wished her luck figuring things out. Very polite, very distant, very final. But here is the part that actually surprised me. After the gala, I went back to my hotel room and sat by the window looking out at the Chicago skyline. And for the first time since this whole thing started, I felt genuinely grateful. Not grateful that she was struggling, but grateful that I had learned to recognize the difference between someone who challenges you to grow and someone who just makes you feel inadequate. Lauren, my colleague, and honestly one of the best friends I have made since moving here, met me for coffee the next morning. She could tell something was up. So how was seeing her again? Lauren asked because, of course, I had told her the whole story over the past few months. Honestly, it felt like running into someone I used to know in high school. Like, I could remember caring about her, but I couldn't remember why. Lauren smiled. That is when you know you have actually moved on. When you stop feeling sorry for them and start feeling sorry for who you used to be when you were with them. She is right. I don't miss Vanessa. I don't even dislike her anymore. I just feel bad for the version of myself that thought love meant constantly trying to prove I was worth choosing. Final update, I wasn't planning to update this again, but something happened this week that feels like the universe putting a period at the end of a very long sentence. Life has been good. Really good. The Chicago position led to a promotion to VP level. And last month Forbes did a piece on ethical leadership in tech that featured our company's approach to privacy protection. Seeing my name in print as someone who prioritizes sustainable growth over flashy risk-taking made me laugh, thinking about all those conversations with Vanessa about ambition. I also wanted to mention Lauren, since some of you have been asking in private messages. We started dating about 6 months ago, though we had been dancing around it for longer than that. She is everything I didn't know I was looking for. Funny, brilliant, completely unimpressed by wealth or status symbols. She would rather spend a weekend hiking in Colorado than shopping on Michigan Avenue, which suits me perfectly since I bought a cabin outside Denver and spend most of my free time there now. Anyway, Tuesday morning I am reading the news over coffee when I see the headline, Venture capitalist Ryan Lockwood indicted for securities fraud. The article detailed a 2-year investigation into his firm's handling of client investments. Apparently, he had been using investor money for personal expenses and luxury purchases, while inflating the returns on his portfolio companies. I almost spit out my coffee. This is the guy Vanessa thought represented the pinnacle of success and ambition. The man she left me to chase. And it turns out his entire lifestyle was funded by what basically amounts to theft. Wednesday morning, I found an email in my inbox that had come in overnight from Vanessa Lark. Subject: You were right about everything, Kevin. I know I have no right to contact you, and I will understand if you delete this without reading it. But I saw the news about Ryan, and I cannot stop thinking about how different my life would be if I had listened to you instead of chasing what I thought I wanted. You were the only person who ever really saw me. Not the version of me I was trying to be, or the version someone else wanted me to be, but actually me, and I threw that away because I thought love was supposed to feel like constant excitement instead of deep peace. I am not writing this because I want you back. I know that ship has sailed, and honestly, I am glad you found someone who appreciates what I was too stupid to value. I am writing because I owe you an apology that is about 3 years overdue. I am sorry for making you feel like you weren't enough when the truth is, I wasn't enough for you. I am sorry for wasting the last year of our relationship plotting my exit instead of working on our problems. And I am sorry for not realizing until now that the most ambitious thing a person can do is build something real with someone who wants to build it back. I hope you are happy. I hope she knows how lucky she is. I read it twice, then closed my laptop and went for a run along Lake Michigan. When I got back, Lauren was making breakfast in my kitchen, humming while she scrambled eggs. You okay? She asked, because she can read me better than anyone ever has. Yeah, I said, kissing her forehead. I think I finally am. I never responded to Vanessa's email. Not because I was angry or trying to punish her, but because there was nothing left to say. She was right about one thing. The ship had sailed. But what she still doesn't understand is that it sailed because I finally learned the difference between settling for someone who tolerates you and choosing someone who celebrates you. Lauren and I are planning to move to Colorado full-time next year. She is already looking into remote work options, and my company is open to me running operations from there, as long as I am willing to travel when needed. We are talking about maybe getting a dog, definitely doing more hiking, possibly starting that consulting firm I have been thinking about for years. I know some of you are expecting me to say I feel vindicated or satisfied by Ryan's downfall, but honestly, I just feel sad for everyone involved. Vanessa spent years chasing something that was never real, and now she has to rebuild her entire life from scratch. That is not something I would wish on anyone, even someone who hurt me, but I am grateful for how it all worked out. Getting my heart broken by someone who thought I wasn't ambitious enough led me to a life that is more fulfilling than anything I could have planned. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is someone walking away and forcing you to discover who you are when you are not trying to be enough for the wrong person. The sky is clear in Colorado this week. For the first time in years, I feel like the air is completely my own. Thanks for following this journey with me, Reddit. Time to close this chapter and start writing the next one.